the practice SAT during the ISTEP time, here's some explanations and answers for you to check. So the first one, this is a heart rate graph, and it says which interval is the target heart rate strictly increasing then strictly decreasing. So we're looking for a place where strictly means only, so increasing means positive slope, decreasing negative slope. Steady heart rate would be any flat lines. We can't have any flat lines here, so right here is our area, 40 to 60. Okay, number 2, y equals kx, where k is a constant, y is 24. Whenever you can, plug in numbers. So y equals 24 when x equals 6. That means k equals 4. So what's the value of y? So go back again, y equals kx when x equals 5. Well, we know k is 4. So 4 times 5. Y equals 20. That would be C. In the figure above, L and M are parallel and S and T are parallel. So we have two sets of parallel lines. And so that means that every section of these four angles are congruent. So let's see what we know. Measure of angle 1 is 35. It says what's the measure of angle 2? Well, that means 35, 145, 145. So this group of angles is everywhere there. So 145. 16 plus 4x is 10 more than 14. What's the value of 8x? So is our equal sign. 16 plus 4x is 10 more than 14. So 16 plus 4x equals 8, x equals 2. Notice 2 is one of the answers. That's not what we're finding. It says what's the value of 8x? So 8x is 16. On to number 5. Which of the following best shows a strong negative association or correlation? So negative means slope is decreasing, and strong means if you drew a line through it, your things would be really close. So right here, this would be a weak negative. These are both, this is positive, this is really neither. So strong negative is D. Now we have a little unit conversion here, and we're converting from different units into others. So based on the information, how many 1 milligram doses are there in one 2 decagram container? So 1 decagram is 10 grams, and 1 gram is 1,000 milligrams. Okay, so my grams cancel out, which means what I'm left with is 1 decagram equals 10,000 milligrams. So I can use that to figure out how to answer this one. So if they want to know 2 decagrams, I have 2 decagrams is 20,000. Some of you might just multiply, but that's where it comes from. The number of rooftops with solar panels in 5 cities is shown. If the total number is 27,500, what's an appropriate label for the vertical axis of the graph? So in this case, if the total number is 27,500, one way you could think about this is to say, well, I want to find out what each one of these units is. I have 9x for this one, 5x, 6x, 4x, and 3x, and that adds up to 27,500, and that would tell you a good estimate for those gaps. So this ends up being 27. So 27x equals 27,500. It doesn't go in evenly, but it's about 1,000. So if you multiply this by 1,000, you get that. So number of installations in thousands. So there's 9,000, 5,000, 6,000, etc. For what value of absolute value of n minus 1 plus 1 equal to 0? So think about some extreme cases here. If you plug in 1 minus 1 plus 1 equals 1. If you go to any kind of negative number, 2 minus 1 would give you 1. No matter what you put in here, you're going to, the only thing you could get that's small is 0. So 0 plus 1 is never equal to 0. So for 9 and 10, we have a little equation. Make sure you know what the different things stand for. A is the speed, T is the temperature. So we just have a little linear equation. Which of the following expresses the air temperature in terms of the speed? So we want to basically solve for T, and you kind of see that from here. So A equals 1052 plus 1.8 T. Just like solving for y, you're going to solve, so you have a minus 1052 equals 1.08 t. T equals a minus 1052 divided by 1.08. So we hope that's one of the choices. A. Be careful. Go ahead and show those steps. This is an easy question, but if you just try to do it in your head, you may end up picking the wrong one. So for 10, which of the following air temperatures will the speed of sound wave be closest to 1,000 feet per second? So A equals 1052 plus 1.08 T. So we're trying to find T, and A is 1,000. Again, just kind of an easy algebra question if you're careful. This is a calculator test, so you can use it to help you estimate or actually solve it. So 1,000 minus 1,052 divided by 1.08 is negative 48. Notice negative 49's on there, so that we want the closest. Negative 49 would be close as well, but we want the actual closest, so that's B. So far, none of the questions are too ridiculous as long as you're careful. Which of the following numbers is not a solution of the inequality? Two ways you can do this. One way would be to solve it. The other way would just be to plug in your choices. Depends on how confident you are in solving inequalities. I'm going to solve it. So I have negative x minus 5 greater than or equal to negative 3. And then I add 5, so negative x greater than or equal to 2, and divide by negative 1, which switches the inequality. So I want a number that is less than or equal to negative 2 for a solution. So I know negative 2 is out. Less than or equal to, I made this because I want to be able to see where I'm at. That's less than, that's less than. So A does not work. You could have plugged it in on this one a little bit faster maybe because A didn't work, but I think that's a general safe solution. Based on the histogram above, which is the closest to the average number of seeds per apple? So this is a frequency table in the form of a histogram. So if there are 3 seeds, 2 apples have 3 seeds. So if you think about it this way, apples or apple seeds in the apple, I guess. So there's 3 seeds, there's 2 of them. That gives you a total of 6. None of them have 4. 5 seeds are in 4 apples. That's a total of 20. 6 seeds are in 1 apple. 7 seeds are in 2 apples. And 9 seeds are in 3 apples. And so when you add these up, you get 46, 73. Make sure that you don't divide by 5. You got to divide by the number of apples. So 7, 9, 12. So 12 apples, 73. The best average is 6. 6 goes in there. Different ways to do that. That's how I think about the problem. Make sure you know what the graph is telling you and don't just go add these numbers and put your answer. Okay, next one. Total cost of renting a boat by the hour, linear function, dollars here, time here. What does the c-intercept represent in the graph? That is the same as the y-intercept. This is the c. This would be the cost, the initial cost. So this thing charges you a cost of $5, and then you pay hourly after an hourly rate after that. So that would be the initial cost of renting the boat. The y-intercept in most word problems is some type of initial cost or initial value that's related there. Which of the following represents a relationship between H and C? Okay, so if you think about y equals mx plus b, and our y is really a c, so c equals mx plus b, and our h is really x, so c equals mh plus b. M being some number, we know that b is 5, c equals mh plus 5. At least doing that much, we can eliminate some choices. We know that's gone. We know that's gone. And then to find out what m is, we just go back to the picture and figure out the slope. Rise over run. So up 3 to the right 4. There's your answer. Oops, double check. It's not 4. Read the graph. This is definitely a 2, 4. It's definitely a 4 there. This is only equal to 1 on my. You have a senior moment and you go, okay, that's 1, 2, 3, because I know I'm looking at my choice and then that's not there. So 3 over 1. Slope is 3 over 1. Senior moment. Get old. Complete graph of the function f is shown in the xy plane above. For what value of x is the value of f of x at a minimum? Okay, so a minimum f of x means where is y the smallest? And f of x and x are just another way to say the y value. So 1, 2, 3. This is where the y is the lowest. It doesn't ask for that value. It asks for what value of x. Again, this is really a reading question because the lowest value is -2, but that's the lowest f of x value, not the lowest x value. In the xy plane, if 0, 0 is a solution to the system of inequalities above, which of the following relationships A and B must be true? Now, this is one you can look at and say, okay, if 0 is less than 0 plus A, 0 is greater than 0 plus B. I'm plugging in my 0, 0 and seeing if that tells me anything. Well, this tells me right here that A is greater than 0 and B is less than 0. So A is positive and B is negative. So by plugging that in, you can think about how you want to answer it. A has to be bigger than B when you look through the choices. We don't know about the absolute value because that takes away the signs. We don't know that they're equal. A is greater than B. Okay, last one here I'm going to do. A food truck sells salads for $6.50, drinks for $2. The food truck revenue from selling a total of 209 salads and drinks in one day was $8. Okay, so this is a straight up systems problem. 650 X plus $2 Y equals $836.50. X being salads and Y being drinks. And then they had a total sales of 209 salads and drinks in one day. You can solve that system using elimination. I'd probably multiply the second equation by -2 and adding them together. The other way to do this is to plug in numbers, but you have two variables to plug in. So the question is how many salads. So you make sure that you're finding X for your answer. And in the interest of time, I'm going to tell you the answer. You can solve this system, but it's 19 is B. That's all I have time for right now.